What was that movie where the guy who looks like a discount Tom Hardy has a chip in the back of his head and he like lets it enable him to like
Oh, The Upgrade.
upgrade? Yeah.
Steven, you gotta give me control. It's the only way.
I need your permission to operate independently.
Permission granted!
Thank you.
Welcome everybody to the show. Tonight we're going to be talking about Marvel Studios' Moon Knight that just dropped on Disney Plus, starring Oscar Isaac in a brand new adventure that I don't think too many of us know about. Lucky for us, joining us today, we've got one of the gang here, Doc Chris, to talk about it. Doc Chris, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm also doing well. Thank you very much for asking. I'm doing okay too.
That's great. All the alters coming out. That's I love it. But Chris, so let me ask you, before you watch the episode, did you know anything about Moon Knight?
The only thing I know about Moon Knight is that I think it was Booster Greg who told me that he's basically like a psychotic Batman that will cross the line. That's all I knew about Moon Knight walking in, so I'm coming in pretty blind.
Moon Knight was something that I knew nothing about, and I was absolutely excited to talk about because it's very rare that we have like certain things within this space that we don't know about, right? Because like Batman movie comes out, right? Like who doesn't know Batman? You know, the Avengers. Who doesn't know the Avengers, right? But there's something like this, Chris, where it's just like Moon Knight was something completely different, and it made me really excited because I was just like, I really don't know anything about this, so I'm going on a brand new adventure. And so Moon Knight, for those who aren't familiar, and hopefully I can explain this well enough, and Chris, let me know if I'm missing anything here. So long story short, we follow Oscar Isaac, who is a normal average guy working at a museum. But he has personality dissociative disorder. I think that's what he has. Like, it's not schizophrenia. I think they literally said like something like space or something like that. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, so we're following Oscar Isaac's character, normal, mild mannered guy, but he has another side to him. So he knows he sleepwalks, and he knows that he has like sort of like a voice in his head. He knows it's kind of there, but he hasn't really explored it that much until like this first episode. So we kind of see him where he's in his room and he's going to sleep, and he ties himself to his bed and also puts sand on the floor just to kind of make sure he's not walking away. Is that what you kind of like sand on the floor? Is like so you can see his footsteps?
It's like someone's a werewolf, but they haven't figured out that they're a werewolf yet. But they know something is going on.
Yeah.
And I think it's a weird... Like, that's a weird choice where, like, I don't mind if they drop us into the middle of something where someone is kind of fully realized. Like, we saw that with Shang-Chi, right? Like, Shang-Chi, he already was, like, a martial arts master in the middle of it all. But with this, it was like, okay, I kind of get what's happening here, except that he doesn't get fully get what's happening here. So it's like a weird... Like, how long has he been like this? How long has he known that there's something off? I'm assuming we'll get answers to all this, but it just seems like a very strange starting point if they weren't going to show us how this all happened right off the bat.
And it's interesting how we follow him through this story where he loses himself and he ends up in some like cult mountain terrain. Like Jamestown, if you guys know what that is, there was like this cult leader back in the day who had his own compound, his own like hundreds of people that were just following his word, like sort of worshiping him as a deity. And then stuff and things happen with Kool-Aid and poison. But yeah, it kind of seems like he wakes up and he ends up in this place, and it's just like, oh, what the hell? Where the hell am I? Yeah, and he starts to hear a voice like, oh, great, the idiot's up, and it's just like, what? He's like, who said that?
Okay, so that voice, real quick, the only thing I could think of the whole time was the voiceover from Gauntlet Dark Legacy, where you hear like, Red Dwarf needs food badly. Like, oh my God, that's the only thing I could think of.
Yo, I remember that from Gauntlet. Blue Jester needs food. Yo, I remember
Hilarious.
That. Yeah, and it's apparently it's the voice of an Egyptian god. So Marvel has like basically like all sorts of right. We've seen the Norse gods with like Thor and Odin and stuff like that. But apparently, there's like a pocket universe where the Egyptian gods like are around as well. I wonder if they see. This is why we need Casey here. So like, because Casey's like our resident comic book guy. Because I wanted to ask, and maybe Mike can answer this in chat. That do the gods in Marvel ever fight each other? Like, do they ever have beef, or are they all always like separate? You know what I mean? Like, does Odin and the Egyptian gods ever like collide or something like that? Because at some point, you got to figure that what they need from people on Earth are kind of different. Not really. Gotcha. Okay, I got to kind of figure because
Yeah.
they're using like how Oscar Isaac's character is being used for a certain end by this Egyptian deity. So I wonder if they would ever just collide. But
It's also weird that you have like the Eternals, which have been around, and then kind of the way that humanity recognizes them through the generations is that they are kind of gods. But then now we also have like Thor, and then clearly bring in the Egyptian mythology as well, that there are actual gods that are happening kind of at the simultaneously. So I don't know. It's a real dumb thing to nitpick, but this is where we are. Thanks a lot, Eternals. Stuff that got me thinking about now.
right. Like now we're thinking about, like the gods and everything far in between. But yeah, so it's interesting that we follow him and Ethan Hawke's character. So I gotta say, Ethan Hawke's character kind of took me out of it because one, he's in the category where I think some people are too famous to be a certain character. Like if you had Tom Cruise at that character, it would be like, oh, that's just Tom Cruise. He's way too famous. And then they give him this like straight hair and like being the cult leader. And at first it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of interesting. He has his tattoo of scales where he's going to be judging people, and if you've done something in the past, or I believe more so in the future, along the lines of Minority Report, if the scale tattoo on his arm turns red, you get turned into a mummy. Your life force gets sucked out and sacrificed to his Egyptian god card. I'm like, what the hell is this, Yu-Gi-Oh? We're just sacrificing these Egyptian god cards to get like what the freak? So I wonder what his goal is going to be in the end, because he talks about returning some kind of power to his Egyptian gods. So I wonder if like the Egyptian gods are just warring with each other, because he has one on his side. That's where he gets his powers from. And then you got Moon Knight that's getting his power from another one that's kind of been like appearing to him in flashes, just scaring the crap out of him, which what a way to appear to the guy.
Yeah.
This is the weakest personality in this warrior that you've got here, because one of his other alter egos, one of the other personalities, I believe is a mercenary, like an actual badass. And that's who the costume gets on. And that's who Moon Knight is, an actual badass. But yeah, it's so interesting. That being said,
So
if
this
they
would be
did
like Percy Jackson of the like Egyptian gods instead of the
Percy
Greek gods. That's what we're dealing with right now. Also, why is like Ethan Hawke is like the being channeling the Egyptian gods? Like again, another kind of stereotypical white dude is supposed to be like channeling the Egyptian gods.
yeah, like how did he
All
get
right.
picked?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, exactly. How did he get picked?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and was he always a charismatic cult leader, or did he become that because of the Egyptian god? Like, is that what's happening? I have no idea.
Who knows, man?
Yeah, but
And
like,
we'll see what happens if he actually has some sort of personality. Because right now, I feel like you could sub out pretty much any actor, and right now, like it feels like Ethan Hawke is just a stand-in for anyone. But hopefully, that character will grow a little bit more.
Damn, talk your shit, Chris. What the fuck?
Listen, I like me some Ethan Hawke, but he has like the character was like they introduce him, and he's like, oh, this cult leader comes in, but does he feel? He just feels so like generic, man. So far, it's only the first episode, so we'll see what
I
happens.
really, to a certain point, I thought he was generic at first, and then later on during the museum scene where he's going after Oscar Isaac's character, I was just like, okay, I can kind of see him like being a badass. And Mike from Rogue Matter says enough intrigue with Ethan Hawke to make me want to watch more. Yeah, I mean, don't get us wrong, we both like Ethan Hawke, but yeah. I do agree with Chris on the lines of in the beginning I was kind of like, all right, I don't really know what to make of his character, Now that being said, if they did anything in the past 5 years, I might not have read it, because Marvel has not been firing on all cylinders the past 4 years. Yes, Mike, I've actually heard that from a lot of like comic book fans, including our own TV's Case, who's not here tonight because he's too busy. It's cool. Case and I are friends, but I was in a Ciroc commercial. Anyway, I just use that for everything
From now on.
Yeah, from now on. Yeah, Ethan stand-in Hawke. Oof. God damn.
Yeah.
All right. Ethan Hawke sees this one day. He's like, yo, what the hey, what the
Listen, it seems like a lot of villains, a lot of times you need like a character actor where you need to be like, this is that character. But I think you're right. And it's just like shows up and you're just like, this is Ethan Hawke. that is apparently leading a cult now. That's just where we're at. As opposed to like, even like Ben Kingsley, right? Not that he was like a big bad of something, but like he came in and he was a character. Or I mean, any of the Marvel villains. There's very few Marvel villains that you're like, oh yeah, this is just the actor. Except for Michael B. Jordan, but he was just awesome.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah. And again, it's man, this so the show overall, I think so far is giving us enough intrigue, in my opinion, for us to watch more, right? And what I mean by that, so there's a mystery around this golden scarab, right? Like what is this MacGuffin that the characters, an item the characters care about that we don't know too much about?
mm-hmm.
Don't really know. Can't wait to see where that goes. It's some kind of harbinger to bring back an Egyptian god, or some kind of, maybe it leads to a Stargate, and then we get a full Stargate thing. Holy crap. Amazing. Imagine bringing the Stargate in here. Shout out to people who've been reading Moon Knight and know Moon Knight, and hopefully they're liking the adaptation here. But we go on this little adventure where the show kind of gives us some really good cinematic points where it seems like a movie, and then sometimes it feels like, yeah, this is a TV show with a smaller budget. And there's one part where he's trying to escape Ethan Hawke's like cult town ring, and he blacks in and out, right? Kind of like, what was that movie where the guy who looks like a discount Tom Hardy has a chip in the back of his head, and he like lets it enable him to like
The Upgrade.
Upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie that's what Venom should have been, by the way. And
that was just a better version of Venom. That actually was a really fun movie.
Dude, that movie kicked ass. If you guys haven't seen Upgrade, it's sick. It's about this like,
the camera work is insane.
But by the way, it tells you how good Moon Knight is, and I'm talking about completely interrupted property. It tells you how good Moon Knight is, and I'm talking about a completely other different property. But Upgrade was amazing, right? The guy has this like AI chip in the back of his head. He's like a normal mild-mannered guy, but with a chip like enhances him and gives him abilities and stuff like that. There's a one point where he's about to get into a fight where this guy was basically about to freaking kill him, and the chip is like allow me to take over your body. What? Allow me to take over. Okay, cool. And then he just like props up and starts like fighting, and he starts breaking this guy's neck, and the guy's like, holy crap. It's so good. Yeah, it's kind of like that where the Egyptian god who is imbuing the mercenary altar inside of this ordinary guy in Oscar Isaac's character is a badass. Like, he handles all the situation. He's like freaking Jason Bourne. Jesus Christ, is Jason Bourne. So I like when he's trying to escape, and then he like blacks in and out, and then he pops back in, and he's like blood in his hand. He's like, oh crap. What the hell happened? People are like all bloody on the floor. I'm like, yo, for a Disney property, Chris, this is kind of going for it. What do you think about the gratuitous violence?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, I don't know if it's gratuitous yet, but it implies gratuitous violence, should I say? But it was definitely like way more blood on screen than I was ready for.
To me, by surprise.
Yeah, and I don't mind the blackout thing. That's fine, but it kind of, going back to the beginning where Oscar Isaac wakes up and he's like tied to the bed, like how much better would it be if we just didn't see that piece, and it starts off where he just blacks out, ends up somewhere, and then this all happens. I feel like they almost give it away at the beginning where they do that. But yeah, I mean, it implied some serious ass kickery. And eventually I'm just assuming we'll see that ass kickery.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, right? Like, as an editor's note, like, what if they reworked it where he's in we only see him during these episodes in the very beginning. Like, he's walking around doing his business, then he blacks out, wakes up somewhere, and he's got like a briefcase full of full money or something. Right. And he's just like, whoa, what the hell?
It's kind of like, pick a lane. If you're going to show it, show it. If you're not going to show it, don't show it.
Exactly, yeah. But Mike, yo, thanks for coming by, dude. Always appreciated. I had a voiceover in a Ciroc commercial. I talked about it at the very beginning of the stream, but if you go to Diddy's Instagram or Ciroc or something like that, but yeah, I did a voiceover for that. But I talked about it at the very beginning of the stream, and we'll talk about it at the end too. But yeah, thanks for coming by, man. Always appreciate it. So what if they had it so they showed us the disorder at first, didn't really like hint at it, and we just see him blacking in and out? It's just like, whoa, this guy's really going through it.
Yeah, I love that kind of perspective storytelling where they only give it to you from one point of view. It just makes it so much more engaging. I like to talk about that War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise version, does an amazing job of this, where it's not like he's the guy that's flying the spaceship into the like destroying the aliens himself. He's just sitting there reacting from his point of view, and that is kind of what we saw to a point, little bits of it. In this first episode, and I'm behind that. It kind of gives you a little bit more mystery. It makes it more interesting that you're not addressing the thing, you're addressing the aftermath of the thing.
Yes. And what do you think about the overall tone of this? I think it shifts in and out from like a serious tone where some stuff is going down, and I really like what they're doing. But then to me, it also shifts to where that Marvel thing, that Marvel-y trope, so you have like, the Jamestown adjacent thing where it's like he's among this cult of people who are worshiping this guy with this like Egyptian god tattoo, and he's judging people and they turn into mummies being sacrificed to this god. And then we're going to a car chase scene with like, wake me up before you go. I'm like, what? It's like, come on. We don't need to be so heavy-handedly lighthearted. It's almost like they're watching in the booth and they were cutting this thing together and they're like, we've gone too serious for too long. We kind of need to be more lighthearted. And then because I don't know about you, but that kind of took me out of it, where we're in this cool car chase scene where he's like trying to get away from this cult. He doesn't know what's happening and he keeps blacking in and out. And he's like commandeering this ice cream truck, and it's just like, what the freak? But then it cuts in and out with like with Wham, and it just seems so goofy and so out of place. I'm like, here's a Marvel thing where we gotta be jokey, and we can't just have a moment. It's so out of place, and sometimes you see it. You see it later on the show where Ethan Hawke kind of confronts his character about the scarab, and like he's like, give it back. He's like, I want to give it back to you, and he's doing like the Venom thing where like his body's moving. Oh,
he's fighting himself.
Yeah. I want to get to my body doing this thing. Whoa, it's so crazy. Whoa, it's wacky. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get that. That's okay.
I think it's probably going to even out soon, because I think at the moment I think the whole idea is that you're supposed to be confused about what's going on. I don't really mind it. I did think that the whole Wham thing, I feel like the song just kept going straight all the way through, and I don't know if it necessarily skipped, or if it skipped, it didn't noticeably skip to another track. I think it would have been like way cooler if it was like near the end of the Wham track, and then when he blacks out and then he comes to again, it's a completely different song. Would have kind of been pretty rad, because then that would, yeah.
I like
because
that.
I feel like it just kind of went straight through, even though he was blacking out. But it's like, well, time was supposed to skip. Shouldn't that also imply the same thing?
Damn, that's a damn good detail, right? Because like he's slipping in and out, so time is passing. Because at one point in the ice cream truck chase, the car is flipped all the way around and he's going in reverse.
Right, it's like a good amount of time has passed, but the same song, like that whole scene was like 5 minutes, but the song itself was only like a 2-minute song.
That's
so
a really
like,
good detail. Yeah, they should have been cutting into different songs and different parts of songs, because it's just like, okay, now we're in the middle of like this. I was like, wait, what? Like, how much time has passed, or what's going on here? Because they were on a pretty tall mountain when he's going down there. But even doing like smarts and stuff like that. I wonder if they could only clear a certain amount of songs because they have a certain budget.
Disney, of course they can shell out for the license of whatever they want. Come on now.
Yeah, if you put your own songs in there, come on, you own a huge library of stuff, But and I also thought like the really other like Marvel-y thing joking that stood out later on was when Ethan Hawke was confronting him in the museum in which he works, and he was just like, you're the avatar for he's like, avatar, I love the blue people. He's like, no, the avatar for the Egyptian, the anime, and he's just like, stop that. Like, he literally said, stop that. And I was just like, yeah, it's a serious moment. This cult leader like found out where he worked. He followed him. Even Oscar Isaac's character was like, oh my God, he's real. When he saw him in the bus, he's like, yo, he's real.
It's like they couldn't decide if he was bumbling or witty. And so they just kind of threw the both in there. Again, I think the biggest thing here is like, come on, man, pick a lane.
Yeah. Is he bumbling? Is he witty? Is he both? Is he all of them? Because like one personality is supposed to be one thing, right? Like one guy isn't all the personalities. That's what you have the other ones for. So it was, that part was kind of odd to me. All I'm saying is that, editing note, production note at Marvel, you don't need to have these moments where, if we're in a serious tone where this cult leader finds where you work, follows you there, and he's telling you, give me the thing that belongs to me. You don't need to interject it with, oh, here's a wacky joke. Wow. It's like, that's what people are tired of, to be honest with people at Marvel. People are tired of. Just, we can have a serious moment for a minute, okay? It's fine. I think they do not to scare children. I think that's what it is. Like,
Yeah,
I think
you gotta break the tension.
ease attention, right? Because they're thinking about, okay, people are watching this with their families. If I was at, most people who make this stuff have kids, so they're like, oh, I think this would be too serious when I'm watching it with my kid. Gotta put a joke right in here, so it kind of cuts the tension. Well, everything's okay. That's all I can think of. But other than that,
despite the fact that 10 minutes earlier he murdered an entire crowd of people around him.
yeah, So it's just like it's inconsistent. Are we showing? And the thing is, when the people are on the ground, there's blood. Like there's no.
Oh no, there's a
mistake.
lot of blood.
There's
Yep.
blood, and his hand was like covered in blood too. Like we're talking Falcon Winter Soldier, the shield of Captain America covered in blood type thing, while he's holding an artifact. So I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so is this for everybody? Is it for teens up? Is it for the whole family? Because we're cutting in some wacky jokes, like it's for everybody. But then we're showing
the Scarab
people
might as well in the heart from Temple of Doom, like that type of stuff.
Yeah. Kalima. But Chris, were there any standout moments for you in episode 1 of Moon Knight?
So the weird, I'm assuming it's they kind of flashed to a few of the Egyptian gods, and there was like kind of a bird skull looking thing that was really cool. It really reminded me, I don't know if anyone has played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, but the boss Valravn, who was friggin' awesome and terrifying, it kind of looked kind of like him. So that was really cool. I mean, I think it will be interesting seeing a lot of the like character design work being designed after, like, inspired by the Egyptians. I think it's something that's a little different that we haven't really seen too much in live action, except for The Mummy, which I recently watched, and that movie friggin' rules, and everyone should go watch that as well. But that's just a side tangent.
Which Mummy?
Oh, the first one, the Brendan Fraser one.
Hell yeah, dude! Love those movies when I was younger. Those movies are
it's my favorite Indiana Jones movie. It's amazing.
True.
Dude, rules. But yeah, so we got a lot. It's a lot of start to some cool stuff. They clearly are trying to disorient us. I think they could go a step further trying to do that as well. But you're right. Like they want to make it more accessible, so you can't go too far over. So you need to kind of ground it in that Marvel thing. We'll see what happens. I wasn't like super blown away by it, but it's gonna be fun. You know what? Like I also wasn't super blown away by Hawkeye, and that show was fun as hell.
Yeah.
So like whatever. It's something that's different that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, for first episode, I think it had some good intrigue, and it's leaving you wanting more, I think, because at the end there, we get into the fantastical part of Marvel where Ethan Hawke's character pretty much seeks what looks like a dog of the underworld, like an Anubis-looking creature, a mummified creature, to Oscar Isaac's character, and he's just like, holy crap, what the hell is this? He finds himself in a bathroom, locked in there, and I love this thing they do, where his other identity, who is the badass, who is like actually Moon Knight, is in the mirror, and our main character, Isaac's character, is has an English accent, and Oscar Isaac said he did that on purpose just to kind of differentiate them. So he's looking over towards a mirror, and this guy has an American accent. He's speaking in English, and he's just like, "You gotta let me take over your body. You gotta let me take over. Like I can save it." He's like, "What? No, you're not real." He's like, "I am real," and that thing is knocking on the door. We gotta get moving. Give me access. Like, come on, like full go. Kind of like that Upgrade movie. And he's like, oh, okay.
Exactly like that Upgrade movie.
Yeah.
Like it is almost the exact same scene as the Upgrade movie.
Yeah, and it's right. Even the way he kind of like lets go, and but the Marvel adds its own little flair by putting up like hieroglyphics that appear on the walls and swirling around him, and these raps come out of nowhere, and he starts getting into costume, and it smartly like cuts away from all of that, and then you see like the dog breaks down the door, and he starts like pulling it back in, beating the hell out of it. And you're like, God damn, Moon Knight's a different kind of hero. He's beating the crap out of this thing. He's not like the other ones, man. It was sick. But yeah, and then we finally see the costume at the very end, and like that's it. So, point of contention with that, and this is one of the last things I'll say about Moon Knight. I think it's kind of whack that they show Moon Knight at the very, very, very end. Okay, here's why. You would do something like that, reveal like that regularly on regular TV, right? Because you want people to tune back in next week, next time, you know? But we're already paying into Disney Plus. We're already locked into Disney Plus. There are millions of people who have Disney Plus, and we are starving for content, right? People are salivating for content. I mean, the last big thing we had was Boba Fett / Mandalorian. That whole thing. So people are dying for content. When something releases on Disney Plus, I mean, it gets a lot of views, and they can see that it gets a lot of views too. I mean, they're talking about how episodes of Mandalorian and Boba Fett were doing like, gangbuster numbers. So I don't think it's really necessary to show us like the hero at the very. I mean, like, people don't know too much about Moon Knight in the first place. I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, talk about how people didn't really know Guardians of the Galaxy, right? But there was a little bit of imagery at the time. People were kind of familiar, but Moon Knight, it's really obscure. So I think showing it earlier on, not like first thing out of the gate, maybe not in the middle, but like towards like middle-ish, third acty, not at the very end, popping him in, and then it's like, boom, tune in next week. It's just like, you already have an audience locked in. We're going to be millions of people.
It felt like a CW moment, really. It felt like,
wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So my point with that is just like millions of people around the world are already locked in, tuned in. You got us already. So just like show us the guy, give us more of the guy so we can start knowing him, loving him, because you got to sell merchandise of his stuff too. Yep. Okay. So show us more of the guy so we can fall more in love, with the hero and the character, or people who don't like him, or whatever. Give us, something to chew on. But at the very end, boom, that's him. Tune in next week. I was like, that's kind of whack. You don't need to do that.
They should have just had, you should have just heard what was going on in the room, and it should have cut away before you actually saw him. Or let's again pick a lane, either show him or don't.
Yeah,
like not this little real quick flash like teaser. Like, I know what you're doing. You're better than this.
Yeah,
you're not 2002.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're better than this. I think the next episode will be a flashback to Mark's perspective and show the fights. Oh, that'd be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Eventually, like if he's like remembering, like now we get into like the actual Moon Knight, the actual mercenary guy, and he like looks back and stuff and moves forward. That'd be interesting, yeah, because they can do a whole lot with this,
That'd be cool with that. If it's like Checkers, every other episode follows a different kind of point of view.
Yeah,
I'd be behind that.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
No, this reminds me not just a better version of like, Venom type of thing, but also a better version of that Split movie that I hated.
Oh yeah. I didn't mind Split. It was a bit long, but yeah, I like the acting performance. But payoff was all right. It wasn't that great, but I liked it personally. Yeah. But yeah, so Chris, are you looking forward to more Moon Knight? Are you more lukewarm? Is it something that when it drops, you figure, oh, I need to watch this now, or I'm going to make time for it when I make time?
I'll watch it. I'll keep up with it. I feel like I'm not going to be as chomping at the bit for the next episode. I mean, again, it's the first episode. It's a character I don't know. It doesn't seem to have much tie into everything else that we've seen already. So, like, I'm going to watch it. But yeah, I'm out on it. How about you? How you feeling?
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely keep up with it because I'm so intrigued to find out more about this character, and which is why I'm kind of miffed that they kind of just showed us a little bit of him at the end there. It's like, bro, give us the guy. Like we're dying for this flavor, for this taste. I mean, you guys. I mean, Boba Fett wasn't that long ago, but in terms of Marvel content, we had Spider-Man, but that was really Sony. So like, just give us the juice, man. Like, we're all here for it. Millions of people are chomping at the bit for more content at Disney Plus. Just give us the guy. But yeah, I'll keep up with it. Hopefully next episode is something to really talk about, because this one was like, yeah, it's not really making headlines. It's nothing too crazy to talk about in the geekosphere. There's no real like raging like, oh my god, you need to check out Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight. He's great in it, but there's not really too much in this first episode to really, warrant, someone running up like, hey, how's that Moon Knight? Do I need to watch it? I think right now it's like, if you can make time. If you can make time, watch it. But yeah, guys, that's all our thoughts on the first episode of Moon Knight. Hopefully the show gets better. But first episode wasn't bad. Interesting stuff. Pacing was okay. Oscar Isaac, I think, great in what he's doing so far. But yeah, can't really comment too much about it, so we're just gonna leave it right here. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below, and we'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time.